Being very,
Yawning. I'm so sorry. I'm not
it's been
tired.
12 years. She's still tired.
Dear Diary, mood exhausted.
Film school diary. My 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 film school diary.
Hey, so this is my film school diary, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the longest day of my life. Well, in theory, the longest day of my life. So, this was our second official project. We had done our first mise en scène, and then we had done a production workshop, but this was our, I think what they called like our sound sync project. And this project was something that was going to be, there was going to need to be like continuity, like over the shoulders. There was going to be shot that needed to line up. Essentially, this was teaching us how to do more than just one shot. We had been kind of in school for a while now, for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and this was our second project. We did about a project a week with like the in-between production workshops and the in-between stuff on the back lot. It's been about 2 weeks and we haven't had a single day off. They had us going literally 7 days a week. We did not take weekends off. Our weekends were for filming these projects, and it was very difficult and it was a lot of work and it was very stressful sometimes. We came up with an idea. My crew, the Razor Blades, we came up with an idea for this project that, in theory, they weren't very long projects. We were still shooting on film, so we didn't have much time to actually film them. Like, we could probably film up to like a minute and a half, so it couldn't be like a long film. It was still a short. So we could probably knock all four of our films out in one day and then take that Sunday and have a day off and relax a little bit. Little did we know that that would lead to the most crazy busy day we ever had, because we shot four full short films in the span of 24 hours. 12 hours for them, actually. I was getting ready for this diary entry and getting ready to talk about what had happened and get ready to talk about all this stuff when I had got a call from the real life Cece. Cece is the fake name we used for my best friend from film school. And so I was telling her how I was going to do this episode, and she instantly wanted to join in. She was so down. She's like, "Oh, I want to talk about it. That was like a really hard, really crazy day. Let's discuss it." I asked her if she wanted to be on the show, and she agreed. I'm very excited. We're going to have our first guest here on my film school diaries, and this is my best friend from film school. This is the real life Cece, and you guys are going to finally see what she really looks like and get to know her a little bit. So this is the real life Cece.
Okay, so everybody, this is the big moment we've been waiting for. We're finally getting our first face reveal of the series. This is the real life CC, my close friend, my closest friend from that time period. So here's the real CC.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me, Jay.
Of course. Okay, so tell them a little bit about yourself, my close friend. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you like me as a person? No, I'm just kidding.
So, my name is Carly. I'm also a filmmaker, a photographer, just an artist all around in that medium. Jay and I met, as you all heard, over a Justin Bieber notebook.
We met the first in the first video we met first day out in the van. Well, we met after the van, but we were in the same van going around the back lots. And we met in a hallway over a notebook, and we were close friends ever since.
Absolutely.
um, and so anyway, today I brought the real life CC, aka Carly, on to discuss the longest day ever. In this video, we're discussing that me and Carly both were tired girls. We were sleepy. We were working our little butts off constantly. We hadn't really had any days off. And so we made up a little plan as the Razor Blades that we wanted to get like a day off. And we shot over the weekend. We had Saturday and Sunday, 2 films per day, essentially. And someone came up with a brilliant idea.
I wonder who that was.
Carly came up with the idea that we should get all the films done in one out in
One
one day.
hour. Whoa.
Crazy, crazy. No, we should get all the films done in one day, and that way we'd have Sunday off, and we could come back relaxed, rested, feeling pristine. But the problem is that we didn't think that would be 4 films on actual film cameras in one day. We did it though.
We did it. We what's that phrase? Like, do it scared, do it sad. Like, that's exactly what
Yeah,
we were doing.
yeah. We drove it like we stole it. It was me, Red, July, and Carly. And so the basic concept is that we were going to knock out these films. I think these were our first continuity films. It was ones where we had to like sync up a storyline. We had to sync up like more than one shot, like over the shoulders, medium, full, whatever. And so we all do our little scripts and come up with those movies. And I think we shot the first 3 at your apartment, if I remember correctly.
We did, I think, because we didn't we had two non-drivers in our group. So you and I didn't drive. Well, I mean, you drove. That's a story for another
Sometimes.
time. But um, the two other people, so we were just trying to keep everybody in one spot and use whatever we could for
Mm.
as long as we could. And yeah, from my memory, I mean, we did some at
Yeah.
my place.
Because the basic idea is we had two actors that we were all going to kind of work with for that day.
We
For me,
shared
you and
them.
Red, me, you and Red, we all used the same people. And then July had another actors coming to his place that we went to his place for like the company move
And
essentially.
that was in the evening. That was
Yeah, that
late
was nice. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
so basically, backstory here, guys. Film school's really hard.
It's fine.
It's hard, it's taxing, it's exhausting, and we had, I'm pretty sure, like 21 days on.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
class, that's um workshops, that's like all different kinds of things you needed to do, plus like exist as a human and like do your laundry and remember to feed yourself. Um, and so that's why we wanted one day off. Everybody else was spreading theirs out all weekend, and we were like, no, I
No.
needed to sleep. I was so sleep deprived. But yeah, we shared the actors and we went to July's to finish or to continue on.
We
Go ahead.
ended up because like we had like our two actors we got who were gorgeous,
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
stunning. Yeah,
So about them, honestly.
we had a guy and a girl, and for some reason, both me and Carly were like obsessed with like these really dark films for some reason. Like we did like the same film almost.
Yeah, we did. I was also going through it. I was
Yeah.
really at this time in my life at
Mhm.
20 years old, really going through it. And
No,
the
yeah.
subject matter of all my films, it's very evident what was going on. Yeah, we kind of had the same idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yours, we to this day, I don't think either of us have the full films anymore.
No.
I have a clip that I will insert. It's a beautiful clip if it wasn't blurry because those cameras did not work.
Anyway, what was Reds? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly what Red's was, and it was sweet though compared to ours. It was like romantic. And it was nice, and then we had ours where it was just like people throwing each other around. It was crazy. Um, and then I want to say I think July's was something to the extent where it was a girl comes home, finds her boyfriend cheating with another girl, and then she like murders them. So honestly, our main girl that we both used, she never stood a chance that day. We had her just like getting murdered, getting like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was, I
It
feel
was just
honestly,
the thing I think I want to stress to people is that the one of many critiques I have about where we went to film school was
mm,
there was no time to think of a good idea, really. Like you weren't sitting and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna execute it this way." It was like boom, 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 boom. So of course, it's kind of cheesy. Of course, you're taking from, thank God we don't have those clips, honestly. But, of course you're taking from your own life or like what's going on at the time. And so basically, I mean, that's what we did. And we had to come up with stuff so fast that I was almost like, how did you guys think of that? Like, how did you think of that? Like, we had no time from 7 p.m. yesterday to 7 a.m. this morning. Like I went to sleep
mhm.
because I was so tired. Cannot stress how tired I was
Well,
all the time.
honestly, like within 3 weeks or 2 weeks, we had three full films done, which is
Yeah.
a lot to ask without any time for pre-production, post-production, and like those were like done and edited on the screen at that point. Like, yeah,
The
back to the
day
main.
the day that never ended. So yeah, we went from my place
Mhm,
after hours, and then we went to July's.
mhm.
And I do not remember much of that evening because again, and Jay has a photo to insert here where we're gonna have to blur out everybody else.
Yeah.
But if you just look at the bags on my eyeballs, at one point we
Low zoom.
actually I begged to go because there was a Starbucks right by my house. Like we
Mhm,
didn't leave my apartment either. Let the
mhm,
audience know. We didn't leave. We stayed there
mhm,
for hours. Like it was, we didn't go get food. So we took a break. We gave ourselves, I remember Red set a timer and was like, we have, because that was the kind of person Red was, and I loved her for it. But she was like, we have this time, you know.
Hmm.
So we went to the Starbucks and I have a picture somewhere with my giant Starbucks cup and I am basically asleep standing up.
Hmm.
That's, I mean, they didn't leave me in the car because they thought I was going to fall asleep in there.
Honestly, it was also funny because we I think we were all in one car at this point too. So you had
Yeah.
like our four and then we had the two actors. I think you were on my like you were like sitting on my lap. Like the actors were like squished somewhere. Meanwhile, like July and Red are just like driving in the front, like hi.
They
We're
have
like,
so much room in there. They get all the air conditioning.
but yeah, because we knocked pretty much all of our films out pretty much quickly. But all I remember is going to July's like the company move took us from daytime to nighttime for some reason,
Yeah.
and it was like and
Well, when we went
it
outside, it was pitch
mm,
dark.
yeah, it was
Um,
yeah.
and we had started at like early, 7, 8
Hmm.
in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we also like 'cause I remember it was hard because I don't know why, but once we got to July's, like it did feel like the days we it hit us all like a ton of bricks because we knocked out three in your house, no problem. But then July had a very like conceptual style one, and I wish I could find the clips because it looks so good. I actually did art direction for that one because he wanted me to destroy his bathroom and make it bloody because there was going to be like a murder scene there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and so, yeah, I was probably in there for a good couple hours just throwing corn syrup and food coloring because we didn't have real like fake blood. It was like I had to make it on set.
Yeah, I remember making it, and I remember I was in a project from high school that we made fake
Uh-huh.
blood look so real, and you
Hmm.
and I were kind of like, okay, more corn
Yeah.
syrup, more of
Yeah.
this, more of that, and yeah, we destroyed
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
bathroom.
I was gonna say, I think the reason it took so long is we did have to wait for the second actress to show up, who we love her, but I think she was working on another project at the time, and so she came like probably like 9 o'clock at night or something. It took a while for her to get there. There was some sort of reason where she had like another project, and so we did end up kind of like sitting around July's house for a while too.
I remember one of the actors started playing guitar at one point,
Hmm.
and I was honest to God about to fall asleep in Jay's lap because I was so exhausted. But I remember, I don't know if you were there with me, but I distinctly remember trying to clean up July's bathroom
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was a
because
big problem with a lot of the guys that we went to school with. We had to clean their bathrooms constantly.
you're not wrong. But yeah, I remember July's bathroom was all white
Hmm. Hmm.
and having all that fake blood everywhere. Like,
Oh,
but he was
literally,
gonna
literally.
get his security deposit back. That there
Oh
was no
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
way.
know he did. I know he 100% did for sure. He had to. We would have cleaned that thing for days. And then we finally get the new actress in. And again, I honestly, out of all of them, I think she was the one we ended up working with like a lot. We loved her. Like I
Oh, I love and miss her so much.
But yeah, so she gets there, and honestly, I'm so glad first impressions aren't right because at first I was so nervous to meet her because like she kind of like had this very much like air of a real actor. Like she walked in and she's like,
Oh
"Hello," and it's like,
yeah.
whoa, she was gorge,
And
stunning,
she
so cool.
is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Like
Hmm.
absolutely like
And it was so funny because she wore all white.
I remember that now.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she's like, "I'm fine with doing anything as long as we don't ruin my clothes." I was like, "Girl, we're gonna ruin your clothes. Oh, it's gonna be
What?
bad." Oopsies. And so I remember we had to clean a spot for her because her shot wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like we were seeing her murder somebody. We were seeing her like sit there after the events. And so
Yeah.
she's sitting there all the way. So we cleaned out a little spot for her to sit, like her little butt could sit here and her back could sit here. And I remember July pulled me over and nudged me. He goes, "There's blood on her shirt already." And I was like, "You told me to just ruin this bathroom." And I don't think she had a problem with it really. She never brought it up or anything. Actually, that's not true. At our final showing of our final film, she came up to me. She goes, "You have blood on my shirt that one day." And I went, "I'm sorry." She's like, "It's fine. I don't care." I'm like, ah. Meanwhile, the other girl who was the murder victim in that one was just lying in the bathtub, just soaking in blood. And she's like, "Yes."
And
Um,
it's funny that it was very complex for like,
mhm,
but that's how July was. You and I were
literally,
like,
all
you're
this.
angry. And, like,
Yeah.
I feel like we were a lot more ready for the longer form content stuff. Like, I totally
Hmm.
understand that we needed to learn the basics. But
Hmm.
like, we took it seriously, but it wasn't like, this is gonna win
Yeah.
an Oscar, like,
Yeah.
we knew where we were at. with it.
Well, it's interesting because I will say, like, as far as our progression goes, like, we do show clear-cut character development and growth throughout our time periods. Like, we did have to kind of like evolve and level up, and it shows in like our final projects. But if you look at our first ones, it's like we were little kids who were just holding a camera for the
Well,
first
yeah,
time.
we were the anxiety and the nervousness around, everything that we had to do at that time. I mean, I felt like for the first time in my life, like I felt like a lot was being expected of me and like I didn't know how to do it all. And I
Hmm.
was like really
Yeah.
nervous about managing all the expectations.
Yeah. And like honestly, like I think one of the hard parts is doing something so quick and so fast is that like it you are getting the repercussions of your project so quickly. So like you don't
Mhm.
even have a couple months to like mull it over. It's like like Terry's like, you need to change this in your film. And if you didn't change it by that Friday, he would be like, I told you get like 2 days ago to fix this. And so like there was always
Yeah.
this constant like,
There was no time to dwell on any critique you got ever until your thesis, and I sure did dwell. But at the time, yeah, it was like fix this, fix this, fix this, do this, do this, do this.
we were good kids at the end of the day. Like not that we were actually kids, but like we really respected our teachers, the people in charge of us. And looking back on it now, the one thing I learned from school was to honestly do what I needed to do and not care what they said. Because that was by the end of it, they wanted us to kind of push back and say, no, you're wrong. No, this is what's right for me and my project. Uh, and like I think
We
that that shows.
we had no problem doing that from the very beginning.
But yeah, honestly, I would say as far as like the longest day that ever happened to us, it was probably one of the most fun days we had too. Like it was fun.
I
Despite
can't
it being
quit
very,
yawning. I'm so sorry. I'm not
it's been
tired.
12 years, she's still tired. It's
Yeah, it was the most fun, and it was one of those things when we went back to class on Monday. We were well rested, and everybody else was like, "Ugh, I'm so glad we have to go over." Like we had to, submit these and
mhm.
everything immediately, and everybody else was tired, and we all came in and were like, "Hey guys." And
Yes.
I think when we told, because we didn't tell any professors or anybody
Mhm.
else that what we were doing is what we were doing. Because they really tried to get us to stick to the 12-hour rule, which,
Mhm.
Jay, do you want to explain the 12-hour
So
rule?
technically, we're supposed to. You can't really expect people in crews to work past the 12-hour mark. So it's like 6 to 6, 9 to 9.
It's a
They're also
union, though, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're union. Also, they're supposed to have a turnaround over time for the next day. So, like, you can't have somebody work from like if you haven't worked till 12 at midnight, you can't have them come back in until 12 in the afternoon, type of thing. They want that.
But you know
But the
what?
way
We were
we
never afforded that turnaround time. It was only for talent, and that was my beef.
literally, I will say though, technically, despite being the same crew, each project did not last longer than 12 hours. We did four in 12 hours for four different crews. So technically,
Yeah.
we followed the rules.
Yeah.
We thought smarter, not harder.
Well, exactly. I remember like looking at the time because I was really worried about the time because, well, we didn't really know these people and we
Yeah.
didn't want them to say, "Oh, they worked us over," you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And that's a thing in the industry. That's kind of industry standard. If
Hmm.
you're unionized, well,
Hmm.
that's just how that works. But
Hmm.
well, none of us were unionized at the time. We were just
Still, I don't think
paying
we are.
a lot of money to be there. So, whatever. But that we were held to industry standard a lot of like
Hmm.
99% of the
Yeah.
time. So when we came back in rested, I was in a good mood for once. And they were like, "How did it go?" And I don't know how it came out that we did all of them in that one day, but
Hmm.
they were like, "You what?" And they kind of had this like undertone of, "Well, we'll see how good they are." Like because you had to have rushed them.
Hmm.
No. Like,
No.
just because we didn't do it the way you wanted us to do.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, like that was a big problem I went through a lot in school in my second year. They actually, I had one day where I had to have 40 shots in one day, which people are like, that's crazy. And I had literally, it's so stupid, but I looked up like what the CW and like different network television shows did
40
per day, and they did
shots
about
for keeps? 40
yeah,
shots.
yeah, yeah. In my final thesis for my second year, I had to get one because I had one actor and I could only get her for one day, and I had to get all of her shots, and there were about 40 shots of her. And so we ended up getting all 40 in one day. And my teacher's like, you cannot do that. And I said, they do it on like Pretty Little Liars and like Vampire Diaries. And that's kind of what I'm going for. And they're like, yeah, but you're not them. And I said, you don't know that. And
How
then I
did they
knocked it out.
become who they are though? Like
They
they
didn't
didn't
go.
adapt this
Hmm.
way of doing things because it's how it's like if it's not common, it's not common.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which reminds me of Tarantino. I'm sorry. I just like a man that can't even spell and
Yeah.
he is a genius. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I understand for, curriculum sake or whatever, but what else were
Yeah.
you supposed to do? Like they would tell you, okay, well, think on your feet, use
Hmm.
what you
Hmm.
can, and when you did it, it would be a problem.
Exactly. Well, I think also that stuff like this about us kind of having to give ourselves free time made it so we were better filmmakers. Like we trust our instincts because there were stakes. It wasn't just about like getting home and make your money. It was like, oh, we want to go home and rest and breathe and not feel
I
sick.
needed
So
some,
like,
I don't have any clean clothes. Like I have to go home and do my
yeah,
laundry.
exactly.
So I really don't
Exactly.
want to piss off my professors. I
Hmm.
mean, and there was even another instance, which this could be another clip of another time, but it was the
Oh,
Oscar night. It was the night of the Oscars.
yes.
And they scheduled us to work a production workshop that ran
Hmm.
by like 6 hours, which that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But it's the Oscars.
And
And also,
also,
go ahead.
also, I was like, you lived next door to Grauman's
I
Theater. You
was
couldn't get home
right
if,
next. I couldn't get home. So like
yeah.
nobody really took that into consideration. And that's the
Hmm.
thing is sometimes people don't take things like that into consideration and you need to learn how to work on your feet. So
Hmm.
like I don't know. I there are things I'm really thankful for and there are things that
Hmm.
as a fully frontal lobe developed woman at this time in
Hmm.
my life, I wish I could go back and be like, you have no right to talk to her that way. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and stand up for me because I was afraid, but then like not feeling like I could stand up for myself, but then also like at certain points you caught me on the wrong day and I just did not give a flying
Hmm.
flamingo.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you put they would push you and 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 that's what it's for. That's why you go to
Hmm.
film school. I feel like to be pushed.
Hmm.
But there there are limits. Everyone has limits.
I
Um
agree. I agree. I every once in a while I do think about, especially when we talk about. Honestly, I wish me as a 30-year-old could go back and do that curriculum again because first of all, would have so much more fun. Second of all, I would get so much done with the equipment, like the amount of like
I
quality
would
we could do.
remember so much more stuff. I've
Hmm.
like um and I think it would the political air of the classrooms would be quite different. Um
Hmm.
we may have to talk about that in the next episode, but
Yeah.
um
Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
So as far as like the longest day ever, like my last little thing I want to add to that because I thought it was just so stupid. So, like you said, I don't really drive very often, but this time I did have my car and I drove there. And we had free parking down the road from July's house. And I had parked there, and then I had gotten a ride with July to your house, and then a ride to his house, whatever. Like I or Red, somebody drove me there,
yeah.
and so I left my car in the 12-hour parking or something. No idea that it was going to take us longer than 12 hours. And so we're shooting these movies, we're having fun. It's 1:58 or something like that. And
In the
I was like,
morning,
oh, in the morning. And I was like, oh no, they're 2-hour park. I'm like, I have until two, I think. I think that was like the 12-hour mark. Like
I
then they start
remember
doing
this. Yes, I remember you freaking out about your yes.
I was I was like, oh no, oh no. And I was like, guys, I gotta go get my car. I'm like, I didn't realize what time it was. We've been here all day, and I didn't realize that it ends at 2. And so July's like, get in the car. And then Red comes running at full speed. I don't know why she did. She jumped in the back seat, no seatbelt on for some reason. And she's like, let's go. They speed down the thing. I get there. There's no cars to be seen. It's empty for probably 2 mile all the way down like the parking, and it's empty except my one car. I'm like, oh no! And the clock's ticking down. It hits 2. I get to the sign and it says Sundays we don't start till 4. I was like, and now it was Sunday. It was no longer Saturday. I'm like, oh, so it was all moot. But I got my car safe, no problems.
Yes, I remember the parking was
It was terrible. It was a terrible time.
it was a
Um,
time.
hmm Yeah. So anyway, but like I'm so glad that I got to share that experience with you and that we got to
Yeah.
have the longest day.
Day ever.
um yeah, for sure, for sure. So anyway, this is the real life Cece, who we can now start referring to as uh
Yeah, quit yawning. Okay.
so this is the real life Cece, who I will hopefully be able to start referring to as Carly from here on out, if that's okay with
Yes.
you.
Yes,
Okay.
you can call me
And
Carly.
we can start inserting real photos of her instead of this random actor I used
I
from.
love the A. Oh, it's not an AI. I love that. I
No,
love whoever that is.
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's like a non-copywritten photo of some girl who just had your vibe.
Oh,
I'll put up a
cool.
photo. I'll put up a photo of what you look like at that time period versus then, and it's pretty accurate. Same clothes. So, well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I appreciate it so much. Is there anything you'd like to plug while you're here?
Keep watching. We've got tons more stories to tell you and tell your
Yeah.
friends. Also, everybody comment down below if you think Jay should release the theme song on Spotify because it's stuck in my head all night.
Yay. I will say at some point, I'm obviously gonna bring Carly back for more episodes, but I will be doing when we get to like the season finale of the first season. We're gonna be doing one on my thesis, and I'll also probably be doing a deep dive on Carly's thesis. So get excited for that.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yep.
yes.
Especially because we're literally resubmitting them to festivals right now, I think.
Submitting, don't tell our production teacher.
Well, it's
Maybe.
fine. We're re-editing. It's fine.
We re-edited the date is the year is different.
Yeah. All
Thanks
right. Well, thank you for joining us.
for having
Yeah.
me.
So anyway, it was a crazy day, and honestly, it did teach me a lot about filmmaking. It taught me a lot about time management, which to this day is a very useful skill I have because of days like that where I had to force myself to work extra hard and go the extra mile when it came to filmmaking. Honestly, would I do a day like that again? Probably, honestly, yeah. I now that I'm capable of doing that, I love knocking out projects very quickly. I think it's much more fun. It also doesn't give you enough time to second guess yourself, which is very important. I feel like a lot of times people second guess themselves and they're kind of on the fence and they kind of put themselves in a weird headspace or make themselves feel like they're not adequate because they have time to think about it and time to question their own like skill. So honestly, when you do kind of put yourself on a weird time schedule like that, a time crunch, you have to just kind of go, "Yep, the shot, we got it. We took the shot, we did it," and it's very helpful, very useful. Also, I was so excited to finally show you guys Carly. You guys are now know who she actually is. We don't have to call her Cece anymore. We can call her by her real name, which is super exciting. Also, I can start showing you some of our work, our photos together. I can also show you some of her work as we move forward in this series. Also, I am going to try to see if I can get a hold of more people from that time period of my life and get a hold of people from that from the film school essentially. So I want to see if I can get more guests like this. I don't know how long it'll take me to get a hold of these people. For the most part, she's somebody I still talk to on like a weekly basis. Like we try to talk at least probably like once or once a week, once every other week, stuff like that. I don't know if I can get a hold of everybody else, but I definitely am going to try because I think it would be fun to have more people's point of view and get more people's opinions about what happened and kind of like do the deep dive overall. Make sure you are following and liking for more content like this. If you are enjoying what we do here, leave a comment down below telling me what you think and what you'd like to learn more from our film school experience and stuff like that. I genuinely am just trying to you let my experience shine for other people so they can kind of know what I've been through and also know how film school really feels so they don't just go into it blindly. Because honestly, I went into it blindly and now I'm very happy that I am able to sort of like know more and not have so many, I can teach people stuff so that people can go knowing at least the basis. Well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow and subscribe and like for more content like this. Bye. I will say it was super crazy after I did leave July's house in my car after I thought it was going to be towed and whatnot. I like when I drove home that night, I don't drive a lot to the point where like honestly, like it's fair. I don't call myself a driver. And it was like probably like 3 o'clock by the time I left there, like by the time I left the area and I was driving home and I was honestly, there was no traffic. It was crazy. I can understand people enjoy driving. It was like, whoa. And I was calling somebody, and I let somebody know that I gotten home and whatnot and everything. And everybody's like, oh, I'm glad you got home. You got home like really quick. And I was like, yeah, there was no traffic. Also, that was the first time I drove across. I was driving on like one of the freeways. There was an off ramp, and I normally had to slow down every time I've been on an off ramp, and because there was traffic normally. And so when I had to kind of slow down on this off ramp, like when I was able to go on the off ramp at the normal speed I was going to, I went really fast and it was kind of scary. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't really drive anymore, because I'm like, that off ramp was really kind of terrifying. I was going very fast on that. I don't know how fast, but I don't think that's the speed you should be going on those type of things. You need traffic sometimes to slow you down and teach you how to drive properly.